Welcome to the podcast that cuts through all the noise and gives you no bullshit social media strategies that you can implement in your business. I'm your host, Jasmine Partida. Welcome in. On this episode, I'm going to talk through the 10 red flags to watch out for with social media managers. And they're very prevalent. I see this all the time in the industry. It makes me crazy. So I want to really put together a list that you can go through and be really aware of as you are hiring your social media manager, or if you're working with one that just isn't quite working for you. These 10 things, and you can hold me accountable to these as well, because these 10 items will absolutely hurt your ability to make money from your social media online. And you can download this list if you go to jasminepartida.com/podcast and then go to this episode. The reason that these even exist and exist by working social media managers is because the industry itself is still in its infancy. It's still kind of the Wild West out here for social media for a couple of reasons. One, again, it's a new industry. Two, it's fairly unregulated. What it takes to become certified as a social media manager varies depending on what platform somebody gets certified on. We just started getting official degrees in social media management 5-6 years ago. So there's an entire population that isn't getting degrees, isn't certified. And even if they are, they're being taught differently. You're also getting a lot of people who get the recognition for having built their own following as someone to take advice from. But having a following, as I will talk through in a minute, does not mean you can get sales for your business. So that's something to be very aware of. And then the last factor is the platforms themselves. For one thing, user experience is always being improved, or says it's being improved, but just changing. Sometimes it's not for the better. And then the other piece is all these platforms are free to use, which means the companies are continually trying to find new ways to monetize their platforms. And that will always change the algorithm. It'll always adjust how we are using the platforms, and it will always adjust how you post and how you interact. So all of these factors together mean that it is an industry where you can come at it from completely different strategies, and many different strategies can work. So that's the first thing you need to know. It's kind of secret number 11, I suppose, because it's not actually technically on my list. But the first thing you need to know is multiple different strategies can work for your business. There's not one right one. And anybody who says that, they're just selling you stuff, clearly, right? Because there are multiple algorithms on each platform. There are different industries. There's different ways to connect. And the reality is, and I say this a lot in all of my content, anybody who is simply following a system or following the crowd is not innovating in their marketing, is not innovating in their social media. And nobody in marketing through the history of mankind has ever won at marketing by following the crowd. The marketing that we remember that has an effect on us, that really takes off, is always the marketing that is interesting, that is new, and that is innovative. So having one system that you plug and play with, no dice, not going to work. But to my list, okay, number one, this is my biggest pet peeve, so I'm just going to get it right out of the gate, which is boasting about follower count as a reason for why you should hire them. This is insane. It makes me crazy. Your follower count doesn't mean anything. It is solely to make you feel better about your social media. It truly doesn't matter. And focusing on your follower count can actually hurt your ability to make sales. So let's break that down for a second. The way that social media works, there's two different paths. You see this with Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. They will show your piece of content. You do a post, a video, you put it online. They will show that to 20 to 50 of your followers first. And if those people have no interest in that piece of content, the platforms will not show your content to anybody else, and it is dead in the water. It can be the best piece of content you ever made, but if it doesn't connect to your audience, doesn't matter. It's dead where it stands. And then for TikTok, it's the reverse. TikTok, YouTube, and then Pinterest, they're going to show it to strangers first. And if nobody engages with it, dead in the water. Same thing. So it's just different paths, right? So if you were building a following on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, by focusing on your follower count, doing follow for follows, doing any kind of apps that quote get you real followers, they never are. That's not how the world works. Even if they are real accounts, which is honestly, I've never seen it. It's always been bots. They're not going to engage with your content in the future because they don't care. So Platforms care about engagement. They don't care how many followers you have. They care about people interacting on your content. Because when somebody interacts on your content, that means they stayed on the platform longer. That means they enjoyed their experience on the platform and they will come back as they get notifications of replies to their comment, things of that nature. So the goal is always engagement, not followers. And if your followers are fake, like I was just talking about, then that means, or just uninterested parties, that means when they're showing your content, they're not going to interact with it. The platforms are going to assume it's crappy content. On TikTok, the way that this happens is a little different. It's where people are following music trends or dance trends, that type of thing. And they've built a following through that exposure, but that exposure did not connect to their offering. Now they are not able to monetize their own profile. They could have 50,000 people following them. And I know many TikTok accounts that have 50, 60, 70,000 people following them, and they're making hardly any sales every month because they are just not building the right audience. So anybody who is saying you should hire me because I get my clients a lot of followers, pass, instant pass. You can gain a lot of followers, but it should be slower growth because it's real growth. The next thing, number 2, oh my gosh, is hacking the algorithm. You cannot hack an algorithm. For starters, there are multiple algorithms on every single platform. There just are. I've been saying this for years. The head of Instagram finally confirmed it 2 summers ago. You cannot hack what is just code. The code doesn't have an opinion about your accounts. It doesn't want to see you fail or succeed. It's just taking information and moving it along, or not moving it along if it's not performing well. So there's no hacking the algorithm. That's not a thing. So the next thing, number 3, is going to be ignoring your audience. This is someone who says, yeah, we'll just put up sales posts and we'll just talk about your company and it'll be great. No, you can have some of that content in there, but why would I follow you just to hear about you? I want to follow you so that I can connect with you, so that there are opportunities to engage with you, so that you can help give me more information about your industry or your innovation at work or any, there's a whole, it depends on your industry, right? But your audience should always be the main character of your content. You are the secondary character, and you're the secondary character that is solving a problem for that first character. So that's really where you want to come at your content, where your audience is pulled in because they get that you understand them, you see them, you appreciate what they're going through, you speak to them. They are the person you are talking to at all times. So somebody who ignores your audience, already not a good call. So number 4 is going to be not having a clear strategy. More to the point though, what I often see is a social media manager say, okay, here's your strategy. And it's a posting calendar. It says, we're going to post on Instagram 3 times a week. We're going to post on Facebook 4 times a week. We're going to do 5 TikToks and 1 live. This is just a content calendar. That's not a strategy. That's literally a piece of a strategy. Your strategy needs to have clear goals, measurable goals. It needs to have a target audience that is defined. It needs to have a message that resonates with that audience. And it needs to have a brand voice and design. Because our scrolls are so busy, there's so much that we're looking at. We need to be able to instantly recognize your brand when we are scrolling on our pages. So all of that together makes a strategy. Just a content calendar, not a strategy. That's just a damn content calendar. Number 5 is going to be goals or a timeline that do not align with your goals and timeline. Okay. I see this a lot with when I have a call with a new prospective client. Well, they'll say, well, how fast can you do this? Like, no. What is your goal? What are you trying to move towards? If I get you there too fast and you don't have the infrastructure in your company to take on that many sales, you have a problem. If I get there too slow and it's not covering the expenses for the added marketing that you're doing, you have a problem. So you need to make sure that the goals and timeline that your social media manager will be working on aligns with your goals for your company to scale and grow and take on new clients. Now, I will tell you what my dream timeline is. I have one, every social media manager does, but it can be sped up or slowed down depending on the company I'm working with and their goals and timeline. My dream, like my absolute butter timeline, is where it's 4 months, and that gets between 30 to 50% increase in sales in a really, really healthy way for companies. So breaking that down, the first month is about confirming what the message is, confirming goals, confirming strategy, getting designs put together and approved so that we can create all the graphics we need for the next couple of months, getting the content videos if they need to film, or if I need to hire an actor to film their videos, kind of all that housekeeping stuff. Month 2 is where we are now starting to post the content we've created, the first round of content. We usually do a week and then 2 weeks and then build up that way content scale so that we aren't held up too much from starting their accounts. So month 2 is really about starting to post. And then throughout month 3, we are now taking the content that we made and we are reviewing the data, and we are making those decisions, tightening up the strategy from the information we now have about the audience and what content performed well, and then taking that to make a really tight strategy for month 4 and beyond. So it gives us time to test, it gives us time to build data, it gives us time to build internal processes, and it gives us time to really understand the audience and the company, because social media is all about connecting the two. So that's my dream timeline. I can do that in a third of the time if I need to. I can do it in twice the time. It depends on the company. And I have some that their timeline is 6 months. If I go faster, it's frustrating for them. They want that slower build and they have their reasons, and that is fine. So make sure that it aligns with what you have, and make sure you understand what their process is. When they tell you that's too fast, I can't do it that fast, say, okay, why is that? What can we do to help speed it along? Because if you are trying to get this done in 4 weeks, let's say, get X number of sales in 4 weeks from when you first start with somebody, they still need that first week to get to know you, build the strategy, and create the designs. And you might need to add ads to your strategy as opposed to just doing organic. None of that's a problem, but make sure you're clear about your needs and that they align. And then number 6 is going to be ignoring analytics. Why? So this, one of two things happens with this. I personally am very data driven. I can make the most beautiful graphic. I can really spend time connecting with audiences and really honing in that message. And I do, but none of that can happen without a foundation of data. Otherwise, I'm just guessing. I'm just shooting into the dark. And who wants to pay for me to shoot into the dark? Nobody, literally nobody. So what you want to do is you want to have analytics that are clear, that you will be tracking, so you know if the strategies are working. And every strategy that you have will always need some adjusting over time. As I talked about early on, they're always changing these algorithms. So you cannot have one strategy and be done. You always have to be kind of tightening up a little bit as you go. So having analytics you can track, but more specifically, the reports at the end of the month cannot simply be follower counts and how many likes they got on posts that month. They actually need to be in-depth data numbers and data points that align with your goal. So one of my favorite examples of this, it's a really clear example, was a Twitter account that I had leading up to the 2022 election. It was for somebody running for office. And we got him 17,400 profile views in 1 month and almost no followers. I want to say like 6 followers. And that was because he was running for office. The Twitter account was only going to be up for a couple of months. We weren't going to keep it up forever. It was just up for the election. We didn't need followers. What we needed was profile views. We needed people to click on his website and see what he was about, to register to vote, to sign up for his email list so he could send them reminders on election day. We needed that traction, not followers. So we didn't track any traffic and we didn't work on any content that would create followers. All of it was about driving traffic to his website. So, but if I did that for a small business, it would be disastrous. It would have meant they got all this traffic, but we didn't really keep anybody. So there's no way to really curate those relationships because they didn't follow us on Twitter. It would have been kind of a waste of time. So what the analytics that you want to track and what's important varies depending on your goals, but it does need to be something more than just your damn follower accounts. Number 8 is not including audience engagement in their package. This means they're saying, we don't comment, we don't do DMs. All of that is up to you guys. You guys have to watch the page and make sure you do that. We just post the content. That's fine if you want to pay a little less for a package and that works for you. Some companies prefer that. Most companies that I know, though, it is such a load off their shoulders to know somebody is watching the comments and responding to DMs so that it is helping build that engagement. And I just really want to pause on this for a second. The majority of social media managers vast majority will spend 90% of their time just creating your content. And whatever's left over, if you're lucky, they might do some responding or watch comments. What I do is I streamline your content creation process so that it's about 10 to 15% is creating content, and then 90% is curating relationships with your audience, because you do not make money when you post a video. You make money when you get a sale. So moving people to that sale is much more important than any of the content you do. The content is just a vehicle to move people towards that sale. So make sure your social media manager understands that building relationships online with your audience is part of what you need. Number 9 is expecting daily or weekly work from you. If you are handing off your social media, hand it off. Don't have a weekly 5 hours you have to spend on your social media, unless that's because you're getting a very low level package and they're just doing a little bit of support for you. But most business owners that I know, the reason they've hired somebody else to do their social media is because they're so busy running their business, serving clients, doing the back end of their work. All of that is so critical to the success of their company. And social media is about getting those new leads to help grow what they're already doing. So unless that works for you, it's not necessary. You should be able to streamline your content creation process to such a level that you're meeting once or twice a month, or maybe you're meeting once a month and then approving things through a scheduling app for the rest of the month. But you need to have a system that really serves you in your business and how you need your social media to run, not the way that people say it's always done. That's not a thing. And then the final red flag for you is everything's an add-on. I see this a lot where somebody will have a package that's like mid-level, sounds great, mid-level, perfect, not too high, not too low. And then every damn thing you ask them to do is somehow an add-on. And so really getting a list of what is included in the package up front is important. And having, honestly, sincerely, having this list in front of you to make sure that these are some of the points included in their package. Because otherwise you're going to say, well, I don't need the data of my follower count or how many likes. I need the data of what cities people live in and how we're growing that over time and what we're doing to reach out to specific locations. Whatever the data is you need, having this clear list in front of you, I think is going to be really powerful for finding a social media manager that really aligns with your business goals.